I'm not.
Can you see it?
I'm not. We're ready.
We're live, and it's dark. It's all right.
Hey, everybody.
No, we're not. You're not going to hold my hand here the whole time. Hey, everybody.
You don't have to yell.
We're getting started, so I can't help it. This is how I talk.
Yeah, the whole neighborhood's going to hear you.
They can all hear me?
Welcome to our home.
Yes, welcome. So as we're getting started, everybody's kind of logging on. Go ahead, say hi or something when you're here, like Mikey's doing right now. Just let me know that you've joined us, and we'll get started here in just a moment. Kayla's going to be my assistant tonight, by the way. She's going to manage the chat, make sure nothing outlandish happens like last week or 2 weeks ago when
I will block you.
Yeah, you will get blocked. Trying to some managing, guys. Again, once you're in, shoot us a little comment, set up and ready to go. Mikey, the cookies are in the living room. By the way, Kayla made us some delicious cookies.
Found them.
Oh, he already found them. I've already had 2 cookies. They were both really good.
They're fresh baked. Straight from Nestle Tofu.
Hey, Bella. Hey, Sharon. Who else is on? I see there's other people on. Go ahead and say hi. Let us know you're here. Also, fun question. Don't just let me know you're here. Let me know of like TV show, movie, whatever you finished recently. I want to know the last thing you watched. Comment that as well. For us, the last thing that we just finished, we watched the Chicago shows as a family. So I think the last one we just finished was Chicago PD.
Pew, pew.
Also, hey, Larry.
Hey, Jason.
For the rest of you, let me know what you just finished watching. Maybe it's a family show. Maybe it's just something. I don't know. We're all binging stuff at this point, I think.
Who get M&Ms?
I think Mikey left those out here.
Oh.
Comment on if you think Kayla should eat these M&Ms.
No.
That were just sitting outside on the table.
Absolutely not.
It could be good. Sharon just finished Frozen 2. Good choice.
Ooh, that's a good one. I almost like it more than Frozen 1.
Nope.
I don't know if I should be commenting or not, but I'm going to.
You can comment. I try to get you the shot. Kayla doesn't want to be on camera. Even though it's like still super dark. I feel like maybe if I just hover my hand right here.
Oh, you're like Jesus. Let there be light.
Let there be light.
Hi, Kennedy. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Kennedy. Hi, Michelle.
Mikey, go to your room.
Mikey's just kind of creepily staring at us through the door.
Go to your room.
Again, as you're logging in, let me know what stuff you've been watching, what's been on the TV or on the phone, whatever. I'm not going to judge what you're streaming on, whatever it is.
How are we losing viewers?
I don't know. People are already bored with us.
Hi, Jamie.
Hey, Jamie. Hey, Jason.
I'm also watching Sweet Home Sextuplets.
You got to be careful when you do that.
That's how you say it.
I know, but
these people have 3 boys, and then they had 6 babies.
6 babies at once. I'm thankful we're not having 6 babies right at once.
Preach it, brother. Living out here on this porch.
Yeah, there would be no room. Mm-hmm. Kayla and I would then move it to the smallest.
The movie grater.
What is the movie grater about?
Like the ice cream?
Yeah, I can get down for some graters. Graters, by the way, we went and had some the other day. It's really strange in there, but still, great ice cream. So tonight we're going to be talking about rest, which is kind of ironic because I know most of us probably feel like we've had enough rest. Like we're in home all the time. We're basically all resting all the time. Oh, that's a football movie. We need to check it out. Hey, Charlie, how's it going? So we're talking about rest tonight. And again, I know most of you all think you're probably rested enough. You want to get back to regular life. Like This whole rest period just needs to be over. However, there's a lot of times we're trying to rest. Hey, Lily, and we're not actually resting. I mean, it's very possible to sit in front of the TV all day long, and then at the end of it, feel hyper stressed still.
Especially if you're watching Sweet Home Sextuplets.
Yes, if you're watching a show about a family taking care of 9 children, you probably feel even more stressed out by the end of the day. Remember the Titans? Good movie. That's one of my top 5 all-time greatest movies is Remember the Titans. Another thing I'd like to see you all comment on is what are some activities that you've done around the house this whole quarantine time where maybe at the end of it you don't feel rested? Like you maybe thought you were doing something that was really relaxing. However, at the end, you're definitely not relaxed. You're more stressed than you were than maybe you started at the beginning of the day. For me, I noticed when all this started and like the church kind of closed down a little bit, we started working a lot more from home. We're only at the church a couple days a week. I noticed my phone on Sunday, I got my screen time update and it had gone up like 30%. And I'm not someone who's constantly on my phone, but just in that first week and in the week since, I've noticed that I'm sitting in front of a screen a lot. And I would think, being able to work from home, I'd be a lot less stressed. That, it would be more down to earth. It'd be slower paced. I can work on stuff at home while working on, stuff for church. However, I noticed that as I'm staring at a screen, a lot more stressed. I noticed, especially at the end of week 1 and at the end of week 2, like I felt more stressed out after those 2 weeks than I did just a regular week of work.
Mhm.
So, guys, I'm interested to know what are some things that maybe you thought you were doing to relax, but instead maybe stressed you out a little bit more. We need to be resting during this time. I think it's a great opportunity to be able to catch up on some rest. I know I've been following a little bit of the sports. I get tired of kind of the same stories over and over and over each and every day. However, one of the things that a lot of the athletes have talked about is this is finally a moment where they can actually relax and have their bodies recover a little bit. And I think that's important for us as well because, the school year is long and we were getting really close to the end of it. However, you know, we need some time to actually recover and relax. And I think sometimes we get confused with what rest means because, again, you can sit around for long periods of time and not be rested at the end of the day. You can accomplish nothing and be a lot more stressed out than if you had a really productive day, to be honest. And this is something we've talked about a little bit before, but it's, in the very beginning of the Bible, we see God talking about how important rest is. If you know the story at the very beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth, you know that at the end of the day, or at the end of the 6 days, God took a day of rest. And I see Leighton's asking about the beach trip. We'll talk about that kind of at the end tonight. So stay tuned in for that. We'll talk a little bit more about what's coming up with the beach and everything. But in Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3, we see that rest that God takes a little bit more outlined. It says, so the creation of heavens and earth and everything in them was completed. That's important to note. God completed his project. Then on the 7th day, when God had finished his work of creation, he rested from all his work. And God blessed the 7th day, declared it holy, because it was the day when he rested from all his work and his creation. So what I'd like to see you guys do in reading that is recognize God, the most powerful being in all the universe, the one who had the ability to actually move heaven and earth, create heaven and earth, even after 6 days of hard work, had to rest. But what does that look like? If rest is so important that God would, even in Exodus, make it part of the 10 Commandments, how exactly do we rest? We need to rest on a daily basis. And so I want to know from you guys in the comment section, what are some things that you do that actually make you feel more rested once you've completed it? So for me, I like to take walks every now and then. And you would think that being able to take a walk, you probably feel a little more tired at the end of it, that it's not really rest that you're getting. But instead, what I've noticed is when I take a walk, I feel much more relaxed. Once I get home, I feel like I can kind of sit back and chill for a minute, and my mind is at ease. I usually like to listen to some kind of audio book or podcast while I'm walking, and even though it's physically exhausting and physically exerting energy, I still feel relaxed. Like I've been able to get a little bit of rest through that little bit of activity because I'm kind of getting away from stuff. Not physically, because most of the time I just walk in a neighborhood and it's like a big circle and I come right back to our house. I'm not actually getting away from any of my problems. However, it's something where my mind suddenly is distracted. I'm focusing on getting some energy out and I feel a lot more rested at the end of the day. And notice, through God's creation, he did a lot of stuff with his hands. Obviously, he did a lot of creating. And I think for me, one of the things that brings about rest is actually getting out and, physically exerting your body in some way, shape, or form. So let me know from you guys, what are some ways that you are able to get a little bit of rest and actually feel like you're relaxed, that you're recovering? What's something that you've done over the last few weeks? And Leighton, I do see that you say you can't hear me and you're on max volume, but I also know that you are a liar and you're just trying to mess with my mind. So don't do that. But go ahead and tell me, guys, what are some things? How have you felt relaxed over the last couple of weeks? What are some things that you've done? Because to me, it kind of starts with that. And then one of the other things that I like to do, I like to listen to music a lot. You can ask Kayla. Sometimes I'm walking through the house just singing random songs. Sometimes
and Mikey.
Way off key, yes. Mikey and I both like to sing different songs at the top of our lungs. I like to play stuff with my guitar. I've been kind of bored when we're at home, and so I've started to learn how to play some keyboard stuff as well. So for me, getting to learn some new things, making my mind actually work on something, as well as using music to express myself a little bit, allows my mind to be able to relax. It allows me to create a little bit. All right, go ahead and
keep going.
But the most important aspect of rest, the thing that I really want us all to focus on and really think about. Bennett likes to ride his motorcycle. I know I would not be relaxed if I was riding a motorcycle, most likely because I'm going to crash at some point. What were some things some other people said? Saw somebody said going outside. Bella said being outside. Yep. Bella, is there anything specific that you do when you're outside? Maybe walk, maybe throw stuff at your brother. I don't know. Weston likes listening to stuff. Get behind that. Mikey always has his AirPods in. And just a little secret between us, Kayla's not listening. I've stolen her AirPods recently, and I quite enjoy walking around the house with the AirPods on at all times.
I know you've stolen them.
You know nothing. Charlie says watching First Take on ESPN or watching trailer of The Last Dance on Michael Jordan. I am going to be watching that tonight, by the way. I'm going to be relaxing with a nice big bowl of popcorn, watching some of The Last Dance. That's going to be good. Tim says he likes to veg in his chair. Very nice. Leighton says hardcore wrestling. Leighton, I've seen you wrestle. I don't know that I would consider anything that you do with wrestling hardcore. Got some reading. That's one of the things that I've noticed, especially at night. My mind definitely starts to ease out a little bit when I'm not constantly on my phone, when I'm actually sitting down and reading something. Coloring, listening to music. Yeah, a lot of those really good relaxing things where they actually make our minds feel a lot more at rest. And I would encourage you guys to evaluate the things that you do during the day. Is it actually bringing you relaxation, or is it causing more stress? Like for me, I know watching TV doesn't always make me relaxed. Usually it's listening to something, reading a book, or taking a walk that makes me feel relaxed. But one of the things, I don't want this to be just a self-help night of talk and night of conversation. The most important aspect of rest is actually using that time to spend with God in some way, shape, or form. And I don't mean just reading your Bible and praying. Like, I know 90% of you guys, if I asked you, well, what do you need to do to spend better time with God? You would say, oh, I just need to read my Bible more. I need to pray more. Those are great. And all of us need to do that. But I think for most of us, we need to think outside the box a little bit more and rely a little bit heavier on Jesus during this time. You know, maybe one of the things that I did this morning was I wrote out my prayers and stuff like that. I really enjoy actually putting my prayers to paper because not only do I get to kind of go back and look at what I've prayed for and whether God's answered them or not, but it actually, I feel like, puts the words out there even more. Some other things that you can do, maybe you enjoy making stuff to post on Instagram, and so you might get on the Bible app, or you might get on what's the like app that people like create, Canva. You might get on Canva, create some stuff for some scriptures, create some things, do some stuff that actually benefits your soul. Maddie's already chiming in. She knows what I'm talking about. Yeah,
that's why.
Yep. Some of you guys I know are big on Canva and making stuff like that. Use that as a way of getting a little bit closer to God. Use your creativity. One of the first attributes that we see of God is that He creates things, and we need to mimic that. Sometimes creating is a way that we can grow closer to Him. So I encourage each of you guys. I know all of you have creative abilities, and so I find ways to be creative and use those ways to draw near to God. I've noticed the more that I learn to play music, the more that I feel a little bit closer to Him, because I feel like I'm able to make things that are pleasing to Him. And He wants us to come closer to Him, especially during these times where we need to be a little bit more rested and relaxed. In Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, it says, "Then Jesus said, 'Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens. I will give you rest.'" And I know some of you guys carry some really, really heavy things in life. Notice what He says next. "Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear, and the burden that I give you is light." Now, I would love, just for funsies, if you guys would comment in the section and let me know what you think yoke means, because it's not something that we use on a regular basis. I only say yoke when I'm referring to eggs. Never have I ever used yoke in any other way, shape, or form. So let me guys know what you think yoke means, because what Jesus is trying to say here is that all rabbis.
Clayton said to get buff.
To get buff. Yep, I've heard that before.
Maddie says it's a thing that ties oxen together.
That's pretty close to the definition we're getting to. That's good.
She's a smart girl.
We got some smart people. It's also something that all rabbis would refer to, and so Jesus, being the great rabbi, referred to His yoke, which is a list of requirements that all of the followers of that rabbi had to do in order for them to continue following them. And so part of being Jesus' disciple is one major part of what would be considered His yoke is to have faith in Him. Everything in Scripture starts with having faith in Jesus. Then almost everything else flows out of that one thing. And so when He says that His yoke is easy to bear, that's what He's talking about. Having faith in Him is what is going to make all of our burdens a little bit easier to carry. It's when we're weary and our souls are heavy, them taking up that yoke, having faith in Jesus makes that a little bit easier. When you start to follow Jesus a little bit more closely, when you spend a little bit more time with Him, when you try to be more like Him, when you're taking up that yoke that He's talking about, suddenly you start to realize how much easier it is to find rest. In John chapter 8, verses 32 through 36, it talks about how knowing and obeying Him is also a little bit freeing. Sometimes I think we talk about Scripture and all the rules that we're supposed to follow, and we don't think about how really, if we're doing the things that Jesus tells us to do, our lives are a lot easier. Like if you're struggling with lying, for example, I can honestly tell you, because when I was younger, I struggled with lying a lot, that in every situation, if I had just told the truth, all of them would have been so much easier. It would have been way easier in life if I could have just told the truth. And I know a lot of you guys may struggle with different sins. And if you start to recognize how your life could be more free by simply following Jesus's way, I think suddenly we'd all start to sin a lot less. So tell me some ways. Get creative for me for this last little bit as we round through the rest of this message. And I want to know, what are some ways that you guys can creatively find rest within growing closer to God? Um, Let me know. Like I said, for me, creating music is one of the ways that I really enjoy it. Writing prayers, writing poetry. I really enjoy all those things, and they all draw me a little bit closer to God. But I want to know from you guys, how can you be creative? What are some ways that you really feel like you can not just find rest, but find rest while spending that time with God? Because this is going to be the perfect time for it. You know, um, we are at home with a lot thinner schedules than we're used to. Although it still feels like we've got so much going on at home. Like, we still wear the same amount of clothes. Like, laundry is still something that we can't seem to keep up with. Like, we just keep falling further. I'm gonna guess that means going to sleep with Christian music, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way. Yeah, some Christian music can be really, really relaxing. Uh, but again, our schedules are a lot thinner. There's a lot fewer places to go, but there's still a lot to do. And I know you guys, some of you are up to your eyeballs in NTI work. You got so much stuff that you feel like you have to do. But I challenge you guys, take 15 minutes, take 30 minutes out of your day and like block it out every single day, whether it's morning, night, middle of the day, whenever, and use that time to be creative, to find a way that is actually something that brings you rest, that helps you relax a little bit, that makes your mind a little bit more at ease, a little bit more focused, and try to figure out how you can bring God into that. One of the things that I challenged everybody to do during Easter week was, during any walk that you take, to turn it into a prayer walk. And so if that's you, do that still, like maybe every other time you go out, turn it into a prayer walk. If you want to be great, then every time you go out, turn it into a prayer walk. Use each and every one of those times that you can uh, to be creative and to bring a little bit more relaxation. I see Tim still says Bennett likes to work on motorcycles in the living room. Bennett, my challenge to you is still going to be, how is that going to bring you a little bit closer to God? It can be relaxing, and I'm telling you, keep at it. But I would encourage you to find a way that you can bring God into that. Maybe it's having a conversation with him while you're fixing the motorcycle. Sharon said memorizing scripture. That is huge. And I know Lee issued a challenge this morning to memorize some scripture, and it's even short, easy for you to do. Writing or reading a Christian book, that can be really good. There's lots of great Christian books out there. If you need any recommendations, I've got a ton. I know Kayla's read a ton as well. We'd love to share some of those with you. I've got an office full of Christian books that are great, not just good reads, but they're really challenge you to make some changes in your life. Continue to let me know. As we close up, I want to know a couple things, and I'm going to make some announcements as well. Keep letting me know some ways that you all are relaxing. But one of the things I want to do, we don't know how long this is going to last. I know earlier this week, Andy Brashear talked about how maybe, just maybe, what did he say? Dear Lord, please let this motorcycle start. Amen. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's a good prayer. Like I said, Andy might be lifting restrictions at some point. It still seems pretty strict on when that's actually going to happen, and we don't know what that date is going to be. And we're going to keep doing this stuff on Sunday nights. We do have some stuff we're working on down the road. I'll have some more on that very soon, hopefully. That's going to make this time on Sundays and maybe Wednesdays even better, but more on that very soon. I can't talk about it right now. It's top secret information, but
straight from the president.
Yes. This
Donald Trump himself.
Or as I like to call him, DJ, because
DJ Trump.
when you got like his personal number, like he goes by DJ
mm-hmm.
in the small circles. If you didn't know that, it's just because you're not exclusive with my man DJ. Anyways, so that's coming very, very soon. But let me know some things that you guys want to talk about. I know last year with our high school students, a lot of them wanted to know about the book of Revelation, and so we went through that. We're probably not going to do Revelation during an apocalyptic pandemic, but let me know. Maybe you've got some questions. Maybe there's a book of the Bible you've always wanted to kind of study that you weren't sure if we were ever going to get to it or not. This is a great time. Send me your recommendations. It doesn't have to be in the chat. If you're watching this later, shoot me a text message. Let me know what are some things that you would like to talk about over these next several weeks. I've got some ideas, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Maybe I can cover some things that we've never been able to talk about before. And then with the beach trip, since Leighton was asking at the beginning and I made you wait all the way to the very end.
We didn't forget about you, Leighton.
We have not forgotten. The beach trip is still in question. I'd love to say that, yes, we're going to the beach at the last week of June. But as everyone has said, this is a fluid situation. So we have to stay liquid and be flexible. We don't know what's going to happen over the next month and a half. What I'm sticking with what I said a few weeks ago, where we have to make decisions by May 20th. So before May 20th, maybe during that week, you're going to hear an announcement, a for sure yes or a for sure no. And we're just not ready to make that decision yet because there's a lot of things that can happen between now and then. I mean,
that's a month.
No matter whether you think Florida's governor is smart or not, the beaches opened up. Was it just Jacksonville? Some of the Florida beaches opened up this past week, which could be a good sign. It could be a bad sign. I mean, one thing I've learned from watching all this TV is there are very few people who actually know what they're talking about. So we don't know what America is going to look like in a month. We don't know what Kentucky's going to look like in a month. We don't know what Florida is going to look like in a month. So let's be patient. I'm still praying that we get the opportunity to go. I'm praying, it's going to be an awesome week. We haven't stopped planning it. We are going to continue planning and getting ready to go. And if we can't go to the beach, we will do something else. It might be a little bit later in the summer, but we're going to do something. I can't promise that we're going to the beach later in the summer, but we will do everything we can to try to do something together as a youth group that really helps us grow together spiritually. So I'm sorry I can't give you more information, but keep on the watch. It'll be by May 20th that we make an announcement. It'll be earlier than that because the May 20th is like the very last moment we can say anything. But I will let you all know a little bit before that, within that week probably, what our plan is going to be. And you'll have a little bit more information on that. I think that's all I got. Am I missing anything?
You're not missing me because I'm right here.
Yep. If you have any more questions like that, though, feel free to text me and let me know. I'm happy to answer as many questions as I possibly can. As you all know, I like to pretend that I know everything. So even if you ask me and I can pretend I don't know the answer, I'll come up with something. Love you guys, and I cannot wait until we get to meet together in person again. It might be this summer. Might be in
Couple weeks.
3 weeks. Who knows? But I do love you guys. I miss you guys a lot, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye. Peace.
I told you not to do that. You little turd.